Good afternoon, everyone. This is Kyle Clapper with the Barnhill Golf Institute. And boy, I tell you what, guys, we got a heck of a show today for our second episode, Talking Golf with Barnhill Golf. I got Neil Barnhill with me today. And I tell you what, Neil, I could not be more excited about who we have on the show with us today. Neil, what do you got to say about that?
I tell you what, hey, Jimmy, big thank you for taking time to do this, as we know everybody's got a little bit more time right now, and we really appreciate it. Thank you, Brian, for setting it up. Little bio on Jimmy before we get started with the questions is, his first win came in October 2013 and went on to win 3 out of the first 8 events in 2014. And Jimmy's had 6 total PGA Tour wins along with the 2016 PGA Championship. And as far as this year goes, looks like you're trending in the right direction, Jimmy, with the last 2 tournaments. Arnold Palmer, you came in a tied for 24th in very tough conditions. And we lived down here in Orlando, and the wind was howling. It was cold. It was just the greens were as hard as the driveway. And you had a great finish down there at Honda Classic, too, on Jack's course, tied for 21st. So the Florida swing this year was very tough. I mean, that had to be really tough to play in. So kudos to you on that. And my first question is, how have you been practicing during this time of quarantine? And the second part, have you heard, with all the social distancing that's going on, how the other PGA Tour players have been practicing?
Well, first off, thanks for having me on, guys. And how have I been practicing? Well, I appreciate all the stuff about the Florida swing. Yeah, I felt like, I felt like I was starting to play pretty good, right? And I had a great first round with the players, and then they ended up shutting it down. I would have really liked to have finished that off. That would have been 9 out of 10 weeks playing golf. So I was going to be ready for a little break after that, lead into my hometown event at Valero here in San Antonio. And then the Masters, obviously, last week, which was a bummer that we all didn't get to play. But, I had a 2-week break after the players. And so I just took that first week off like I would have normally. So life just kind of felt pretty normal with the exception of, everything that's going on. And the second week I would have started to ramp back up a little bit. But to be honest, I got a little depressed. I was bummed that it felt like it was over. And I felt like I was kind of figuring some stuff out and I was starting to play better. And so I got kind of bummed out, and I've gone out and played a few times, and I've been putting at the house on the putting mat that I got, that perfect practice mat. And I've got a big green in the backyard that's Southwest Greens, and been doing some chipping and putting out there. And with all the craziness, with all the golf courses closing down, like I can't go out to the range right now, and there's no driving range to hit at. They just closed that down. That shuts down Brian here for teaching, I'm pretty sure, which is just a bummer. So you really feel everybody's feeling the impact of everything that's going on. I think the only people that are really seem to be making out of the grocery stores.
Yeah, that's true.
I made that track today, guys, and trust me, that was about a 2-hour process. And you try to go about once every 2 weeks. And I've got enough meat now, Jimmy. We probably ought to talk a little bit about some Traeger recipes before the show is over. I'll load it up today.
I can do that for days. I got a lot of meat in the freezer too.
I noticed that on your Instagram. You're pretty good at the old culinary arts.
Well, it's funny. We built a new house in Park City, Utah, at Victory Ranch, and we spend the summers up there, and then we go up and ski in the winter. And my wife's family owns a furniture store out in Barnhill, Utah, and we were out there picking stuff out, and they had those Traegers sitting there. And Davis Love, for our Ryder Cup gift in 2016, was this gigantic 1,500-pound Lang barbecue smoker. This thing, it's incredible. And so I started learning how to smoke meat. And the Traeger was sitting there, and I knew it was a wood-fired pellet grill, and so I started messing with that, and I got one of those. And then I started, making some little Instagram posts about it, and it just so happens that the guys at Traeger that run it are just huge golf fans. And when they saw that I was doing all this, it literally sparked a sponsorship. I was one of their top influencers, and it went crazy after that. And I've got people. I can't go a day without 10 people yelling at me, "What's on the grill, Jimmy?" It's really funny. So yeah, it's really taken on a life of its own, and it's a lot of fun, and we just had a blast with it. My wife and I have been doing a lot of cooking and posting stuff on the IGTV as of late. And we've been getting a huge response out of it. And I think it's something that everybody has in common. Everybody cooks. And not everybody cooks. What does everybody like? Everybody likes good food. So that's something I think that we all have in common. It's all something that we can really appreciate.
Well, I'm grilling more, being stuck at home, so I imagine everybody else is too. So I can understand.
Yeah, I saw something the other day about everybody said they were going to be so much. We'll all be better cooks after this.
That's the truth. I mean,
Yeah.
when you can't go out to restaurants all the time, you're gonna have to figure out something different to eat.
That's right.
So Jimmy, now that it sounds like you've been able to practice up until Saturday, I talked to Brian. He said they did shut him down. So how will you be practicing now that you have no range to go to? Do you have anything set up at your house, a net or like a studio to hit?
I'd looked at putting a sim together, and I've got a screen coming. I just got to find a place to put it. And I've got a TrackMan. All you need is some software. But you know what? We've got a building up there, and I haven't really made that call if I could use it yet. Especially if it's just me and I bring my own golf balls, and technically it's shut, I guess. But that's not to say that I couldn't take my own shag bag out to the driving range and go, hit golf balls. We've got 2 practice holes that we can go dink around on, and they're still allowing private carts, which I have. So, I mean, I can get out and go practice, and I will. So it's not that big of a deal until they are like, yeah, you can't play golf. But that hasn't happened for us yet.
And hopefully it won't.
I'm
about ready to get back to work.
I can't see it, so.
Yeah.
Jimmy, the thing today, I felt more safe teaching all last week than I did at HEB today. I mean, you go to the grocery store and you just, I'd wear a hazmat suit if I had one to the grocery store, but we've done such a good job social distancing, and Cordillera is a unique property in that, we're way out in the middle of nowhere on top of it, and it's a huge property. So I'm ready for it to get back to normal.
Yeah, I saw something the other day. It was a meme on, there's a lot of them going around. It was like safe, and it was a picture of Walmart. And the parking lot was full, and then there was a guy playing golf in a golf cart. And he's all by himself on one hole, and it's like unsafe.
Yeah.
How bad backwards is this?
Well, you tell people you're going to go out and like, oh, I'm just going to go hit some balls. I'm going to get outside. It's like social distancing. You can't do that. I'm like, I was just at the local grocery store, and there was 500 people there clamoring over toilet paper, and yet I get ridiculed for wanting to go outside and hit some golf balls.
Yeah, I understand that there's the hot spots and it's brutal in places, but it's weird. We live out in a place where life feels super normal, and so I can only go by what I'm experiencing. So that's all I got.
Yeah. Well, hey Jimmy, next question for you. Once the season does get back underway, what are your goals for the rest of the season for you personally?
Just go keep putting good tournaments together. Whatever happens. I'm not real worried about it. It'll just be really interesting to see what happens. You got to think you get to a point where the tour has to wonder, did I give the membership the playing opportunities they deserved to count as a full year? You've got these guys that just got their card, and how many events are they going to get to play? And are we just kind of gonna just say, well, that's it. Sorry. You worked your whole life to get out here, and we didn't even get the first big tournament in of the year. We didn't even get the Players Championship in. I think there's a lot of stuff going on that they got to try to figure out, but I'll be ready when we get back at it, and just go out and keep shooting good scores and making putts. And it just kind of takes care of everything.
If you don't mind me asking, Jimmy, has there been any talk from the tour about maybe pushing extensions back for these guys and allowing them to be able to play and maybe make it a year and a half exemption?
Well, I've talked to the commissioner, and nothing's set in stone or nothing, just from our conversation. But I think you've got to get to a point where you just go, do we hit the reset button and just start over the next year? Because all the tours are shut down and nobody's playing, and it's kind of the same for everybody. So I don't know. It's hard to really say. So it's a tough decision that they're going to have to make.
Yeah, I don't envy them on that decision.
Yeah, because those guys have been working, like you said, their whole life, and now they finally make it, to your point, and it's like, I'd like to see them have a chance of a full season. I'm sure you would too.
Well, everybody would. I mean,
yeah.
I would too. So.
Well, it's to think about the guys that are trying to stay at that 125 mark to keep their card when they have such limited events. You would want them to give an opportunity to play more events.
That's the other thing that, if we don't start back until end of June or whenever, July, those guys that are on those bubble spots aren't going to play, I don't think, because everybody's going to be clamoring to go play again and rush and get it in, So I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
All right, change of subjects here, Jimmy. All right, this is from Brian told me on this question here. I've heard you lost some weight with your training in the off season. Can you go into depth about that?
There wasn't any training. It was what I ate. I catch so much crap from everybody for all the meat I eat, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, you're gonna kill yourself. What's your cholesterol?"
Butter.
And all the butter and all that high fat stuff you've been eating. So I started May 1st. If it had sugar in it, I didn't eat it.
Gotcha. And
I did this for about 3 months. I don't remember what I weighed I think I weighed 192 193 or 2 when I started May 1st. At the beginning of the year in Hawaii, I know when I left, I weighed 201. And when I finished up my last tournament in Jackson, I got home, I weighed 171 pounds.
Man, and you're 6'2"? So, I mean,
yeah, 6'2". And I mean, I was lean and trim and mean and maybe a little too light. I felt amazing. And
that's what my question was going to be to you, cutting, because I know from I've had a couple of gyms, people cut out sugar. Did you find that you didn't ache as much? Just feel much better?
That was my next thing I was going to. It really cut my inflammation level down. And after having Lyme, anything that my physio on tour explained it, that your body is like a cup of water, and your inflammation's the water level. And if you get your water level too high, anything you add to it can spill over and just make your body just feel horrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, if you cut all that bad stuff out, you're going to drop that water level in your glass where, you're not going to have these spillovers, and you're going to feel bulletproof, basically. And that's what's happened with me. Is I've felt so strong and so energetic, and I lost all that weight, but I didn't lose any strength or speed or my stamina actually went up. I'm not dragging 25 extra pounds around.
Yeah.
So I felt amazing doing it. And
well, Jimmy, before you lost all that weight, did you notice at end of rounds, obviously, the ending of last year, were you feeling pretty worn out, pretty worn down?
After I'd done all the weight loss stuff?
No, I'm sorry, before the weight lost.
Before that. No, it's hard to say, because before I was so sick with Lyme disease that I felt horrible all the time. So I really think that this helped in the process of getting better, honestly.
Gotcha. All right. I've got a question I didn't have on the sheet here, but I'm going to ask you, Brian, and we talked about it before we started today. Jimmy, how did you and Brian first meet?
Well,
I'll let Jimmy answer that, and we can kind of go from there.
I honestly can't remember exactly where we met. I think we honestly first met when I was like the junior South Texas PGA Junior of the Year. He was the coach. He was the instructor of the year, and I think that's when we met. Is that right?
That's exactly right. Right. And then you came out to La Cantera a couple of times with David Ogren. After that, but we had actually met before that at the SDPGA deal when you were the junior of the year. That's exactly right.
Yeah, so that's where we met, and I just kind of got to a point where I felt like I needed some instruction, and I had met Brian out there at La Cantera, and I'd heard, he was working with tour guys, and he was close to home, and I was like, and he was super nice, and I was like, I'll go try Brian out, and I mean, Brian really helped just take my, golf swing and putting to another level. I was always a really good college player, but I felt like I needed something else to kind of maybe jump into that next category. And it was really nice to have like instruction for the first time ever, not just, me and my dad just being like, oh, let's just wing it and see how that goes. And we did a damn good job doing it. But,
yeah.
One of the things that I'd like to add, Neil, is that, like so many other successful people in business and golf and sports, it came with a great work ethic. I can remember, Jimmy, you lived over, you were staying at home in the summer after your, college, the junior year, I believe, and you'd be over every morning at La Cantera and set up there before we started at 8:00. You would have spread out the towels and buckets and things on the driving range. The range was about 110 yards wide, and he'd drive 45 minutes one way, get there, and have already hit probably 100 distance control wedges before 8:00 in the morning. And it came with a great work ethic, but I want to share a story with our listeners and viewers that a lot of people may not know. Jimmy had a great college career, made some great strides, and he qualified for the U.S. Open as an amateur in 2001, and that was at Southern Hills in Tulsa. And we got up there, and he was playing great. He was ready. There really wasn't anything to do other than turn pro afterwards. And so Jimmy and I decided it might be worth our while to go ahead and let him get a head start on being a professional golfer, and decided to turn pro at the U.S. Open at Southern Hills. And I'll let Jimmy talk a little bit about that, and then I'll kick back in and ask him or to share a story on the second day before he teed off.
Yeah, it was I was done with college golf, and that was it. And here I am qualified for this big tournament. I was like, well, that's a pretty cool way to start your professional career. It's like I started a major. I mean, that just doesn't happen very often. So, so we did it, and it was a whirlwind, man. Played with Nick Faldo on Monday. I mean, and the fans in Oklahoma were just rabid for golf. It's Monday morning. It's like 10:00, and it's 5 deep going down the first hole, both sides. Never seen anything like it. We go and we play, and I get to about the 17th hole, 16th hole, and I've kind of had this shoulder injury and from water skiing. And that sumbitch flares up on me at the U.S. Open. And Brian's like, I got somebody you need to go see. I'm like, oh, my gosh. I mean, I couldn't swing. I shanked one off 17. It hurt so bad. So I end up getting on a plane from Tulsa, fly to Austin. I see this lady. She fixes me. I don't know how she did it to this day. I fly back up there. Not a twinge of pain anymore. When I go out the first round, I shoot 79. I think I had like 4 3-putts. I just could not get the speed of the greens. It was brutal. And I don't remember hitting it that bad. We had all that weather, and then I go back out the next day, and we're on the range, and I'm like, Brian, I don't want to go home, dude. I was like, what do I have to shoot today to, play the weekend? He goes, you probably got to shoot 66. I was like, all right. And so, damn if I didn't go out and have a bogey-free 66.
Oh, my gosh. I wish it was that easy.
Yeah, I wish it was that easy, too. I'm like, I look back on that now. I'm like, yeah, man, you just really don't know how good that round was.
Yeah, at Southern Hills.
It was really phenomenal.
Well, I'll tell you how good it was, Jimmy. There were 264 shot, and that was the third lowest round shot in the entire week of the U.S. Open at Southern Hills. So it's a pretty darn good round of golf. But I'll never forget. I mean, I've always had a knack for kind of knowing what the number was going to be and different things. And Jimmy got right in my face right before he walked to the first tee, and he kind of I know you know what this number is, what I have to shoot. I'm not going home. And that's when you know you've got a special player, when a guy can not only know what that number is, but then go out and actually shoot it. I just wish I'd have told you a little lower number.
Yeah, seriously. What kind of coach are you, Brian? Seriously.
64.
64, exactly.
Well, Jimmy, if you could, I know you've obviously won the PGA, but if you had to pick your next major to win, is it Augusta?
Oh, 100%.
100%.
That's a no-brainer. Winning the PGA Championship gets you basically a lifetime exemption into playing it, which is really cool. So that's something I've got to look forward to the rest of my life. And I can't think of another one to win is to win a green jacket. And they treat you so well there. Not that the PGA of America doesn't, but it's just so different. And to be able to have that as a part of your life, the rest of your life, would be incredible. I mean, I really cherish every time I go. I mean, I've made so many cool memories there with family and friends, just stuff you can't make up. And so to be able to keep going back there year in and year out would just be incredible.
That would make complete sense. I mean, that's the major right there, and I can't wait to see it. I think for September?
November.
I think it's November.
November. Oh.
It's going to be cold and long.
It's going to be cold and long.
You might have to put all that weight back on you dropped off to stay warm.
I'll be all right. The older I get, I just get tougher, I think. I wear less clothes.
So,
Jimmy, one thing that I want to excuse me there, Kyle.
No,
one thing
ahead.
I wanted to ask about, because I do happen to know you have some experience playing Augusta during that time of year, because I know each year you've gone down with Paul Servati, I think, the chairman of Insperity, that's a member there, and played, haven't you?
Yes, I have. And, it's a winter club, and they rely heavily on that overseed to come in. And I would think by about November, kind of like here in San Antonio, Bermuda starts to kind of brown out and it starts to go dormant. So I just know that at that time of year that they're really still trying to put the overseed down and get the ryegrass going. I think the greens would be perfect. The greens are usually perfect, but they've just struggled to get a good coating down. And that's something that I know they keep applying throughout the whole winter. It's just that it's a continual seeding job of the golf course. So that's something else to think about when you go play there. What will it look like? I think that's what a lot of people are wondering. And so that's just something for everybody to kind of wrap their head around a little bit. I know those guys are pretty awesome at doing some miracle work. So I can't imagine it wouldn't, I would think it would be in great shape if they're going to host an event. And I don't care what it looks like or when it is, I'll go play.
Oh, yeah.